Good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Wish I could do that.
Usually you can.
Sometimes I can.
Yeah. You ready?
I'm ready.
I love you.
I love you too.
Hello, everyone. Today we are doing lesson 124. Let me remember I am one with God. And we will also be doing the correlating chapter text, chapter 12, the Holy Spirit's curriculum, section 3, the investment in reality. Let's begin. Alex?
Chapter 12, the Holy Spirit's curriculum, section 3, the investment in reality. 1. I once asked you to sell all you have and give to the poor and follow me. This is what I meant. If you have no investment in anything in this world, you can teach the poor where their treasure is. The poor are merely those who have invested wrongly, and they are poor indeed. Because they are in need, it is given you to help them, since you are among them. Consider how perfectly your lesson would be learned if you were unwilling to share their poverty. For poverty is lack, and there is but one lack, since there is but one need.
Wow. What that brings to my understanding is it's not necessarily material goods that you would be sharing with them. It's not necessarily money. It's not necessarily clothing, a house, or anything of that nature. It is sharing with them the truth of what's of value. How they value themselves, how they perceive themselves, and how, in extension, they view the world around them and their brothers. Teaching them they are not a victim of the world they perceive. You know, there is a saying that's coming to mind. Hand a poor man a fish and he will eat for a day. Teach a poor man how to fish and he will eat for a lifetime. That is essentially what you will be teaching them to do when you extend and share your understandings of the lessons you've learned. And what it speaks of there about sharing in their poverty, it's recognizing that you're not to make real their choice to believe in where and in what they are dealing with, whatever their circumstances are. Their belief that they are lacking, their belief that they are in need, that in everything what is truly of value is being given to them. That what they have placed their value in is a wrong choice. They can choose again and choose differently if given the option. And that's what you're there to do, is give them the option. But you're not to make real what they are choosing to believe. Please continue.
2. Suppose a brother insists on having you do something you think you do not want to do. His very insistence should tell you that he believes salvation lies in it. If you insist on refusing and experience a quick response of opposition, you are believing that your salvation lies in not doing it. You then are making the same mistake he is, and are making his error real to both of you. Insistence means investment, and what you invest in is always related to your notion of salvation. The question is always twofold. First, what is to be saved? And second, how can it be saved?
It's interesting because there's a fallacy in what was being said there, folks. Because in that same way where it says, suppose a brother insists on having you do something you think you do not want to do, his very insistence should tell you that he believes salvation lies in it. Now, that doesn't mean if your brother asks you, say, in the name of Islam, to go out and chop off another brother's head, that you do it, even though it doesn't feel right to you. Extreme example, I know, but it's the perfect example for this. That's the fallacy in this, folks. It's discerning what is and what isn't, questioning within you with Holy Spirit what your response should be in any given moment. It's not deciding for yourself that you're just not going to do it because you don't want to. It's recognizing in the moment that whatever they're asking you to do does not feel right to you within you. So you ask yourself and you ask Holy Spirit, why does this not feel right to me? And when you can look within and you can see what it is that makes you feel discomfort for it, then is when you ask, all right, so what is it that I'm misperceiving here? And when you get the answer to that, you will understand whether it is you do or do not do as your brother is asking. It's not making that choice and decision on your own. It's asking for guidance first. It's recognizing if you just arbitrarily tell your brother, no, I'm not going to do that, you are making real their belief for yourself because you are holding some kind of judgment or fear about it. So question it, because there's something that comes up within you that says, no, don't go there. Please continue.
3. Whenever you become angry with a brother for whatever reason, you are believing that the ego is to be saved and to be saved by attack. If he attacks, you are agreeing with his belief, and if you attack, you are reinforcing it. Remember that those who attack are poor. Their poverty asks for gifts, not for further impoverishment. You who could help them are surely acting destructively if you accept their poverty as yours. If you had not invested as they had, it would never occur to you to overlook their need. Recognize what does not matter, and if your brothers ask you for something, quote, outrageous, do it because it does not matter. Refuse, and your opposition establishes that it does matter to you. It is only you, therefore, who have made the request outrageous, and every request of a brother is for you. Why would you insist in denying him? For to do so is to deny yourself and impoverish both. He is asking for salvation as you are. Poverty is of the ego, and never of God. No, quote, outrageous requests can be made of one who recognizes what is valuable and wants to accept nothing else.
What does that bring up for you?
Well, it does remind me how these lines, these particular lines in the Course, can be and have been used for abuse.
Yes, they can be twisted.
Where there are teachers out there that will approach a ACIM student for sexual favors, for example, and they will use these lines to get them to agree to have sex with them.
Or to give over money. 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 Or to give over money That's another one.
Right.
Using it for a form of manipulation. And there's something about it that does not feel right to me. That's the only way I can think of to put it. Not to use right, wrong, bad, good, or anything of that nature. It doesn't resonate here. It creates a icky, achy feeling, like something doesn't feel right with it, like something's off. And what I'm getting here is where it says, recognize what does not matter, and if your brother asks you for something, quote, outrageous, do it because it does not matter. And what I'm getting is, when it's something that, say they're asking for 5 minutes of your time to come look at something, it doesn't tax you in any way. Do it. If they're asking you to harm another, draw the line. That's taking away someone else's free will. Anything harming another is not to be done. Anything talking about taking, stealing, hurting anyone in any way, taking from another their free will to be as they choose, is not to be done. Yet if they are asking you to come over and help them, say, trim a tree, because they know they just can't do it by themselves, they need somebody to help spot, then be willing to go do that, to be their safety. It might take an hour or two, but at least they will be safe doing it. It's being willing to step out there and extend that helping hand to a brother when they ask. But it's also recognizing that it's not necessarily material gains that they are needing. Sometimes it's just somebody to be there in the moment. To simply hear them where they're at in that moment. Please continue.
5. Salvation is for the mind, and it is attained through peace. This is the only thing that can be saved, and the only way to save it. Any response other than love arises from a confusion about the, quote, what and the, quote, how of salvation. And this is the only answer. Never lose sight of this, and never allow yourself to believe, even for an instant, that there is another answer. For you will surely place yourself among the poor who do not understand that they dwell in abundance and that salvation is come. It's a weird ending of that sentence. Salvation is come? Shouldn't it be salvation has come?
No, that it when they say is come, it's that it's already here. It's been here.
Wouldn't has also say the same thing?
No, that would imply that it has just arrived.
You mean past tense?
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay.
So, what it's talking about here, folks, about any response other than love arises from a confusion about the, quote, what and the, quote, how of salvation, and this is the only answer. What it's speaking of is the means and the how and the whys of whatever it is that comes is not what matters. It's the love that is extended throughout it that is going to matter. That love and appreciation and gratitude for your brother and your brother for you. That when you can accept where you're at, when you're at on your journey, and you recognize that everything is just simply in accepting everything as it is without judgment, there's true peace that comes with that. There's no more conflict coming up within the mind, stressing and worrying one about where they're going, what they're doing, and how they're supposed to get there. And when we interact with our brothers, if we can just extend that love and not some kind of thought that we know what's going to be best for them, extending those judgmental opinions about what they should or shouldn't be doing, we can extend that peace that we have received to them. We give it away. And it's recognizing that when your brother feels like they are in chaos, be the light of peace for them. Show them a different way to perceive what they are experiencing. Be the light within the storm. Be the example. Please continue.
6. To identify with the ego is to attack yourself and make yourself poor. That is why everyone who identifies with the ego feels deprived. What he experiences then is depression or anger, because what he did was to exchange self-love for self-hate, making him afraid of himself. He does not realize this. Even if he is truly aware of anxiety, he does not perceive its source as his own ego identification, and he will always try to handle it by making some sort of insane arrangement with the world. He always perceives this world as outside himself, for this is crucial to his adjustment. He does not realize that he makes this world, for there is no world outside of him.
Yeah. So what that's talking about, folks, is that your choices to believe and judge everything as you do is what creates the conflict within you. No one else but you is doing that to you. It's your choices to judge it the way you do that causes that conflict within you, that pain and suffering. And the depression, the anger that they speak of, it's all self-directed. As much as you think you are putting it out there on the world, pointing fingers, placing blame, and seeing yourself as the victim, believe it or not, folks, it's all self-directed. And it's that self-hate that we are trying to overcome here. That is a taught, learned way of thinking. The way you perceive yourself is taught to you. And it's taught to you by those judgments and opinions that you accepted willingly from those around you as you were growing up. This is why in the beginning here, everyone identifies with their ego belief system. With the way it thinks, it believes, and the way it responds to everything. All of us were taught the exact same way. Without exception, folks, all of us. It's only when we start reaching our adult years, sometimes we're lucky if we're younger, we begin exploring our own identity and who we think and believe we are, and questioning the things that we were taught. And it's true what it was saying here, that we don't realize what it is we're doing. We do try to make crazy arrangements with the world. Oh, if you just, if I do this one thing over here, just give me this other stuff and I'll be good. No, simply isn't true. It's all material. It's all worthless. It has no value other than in the precise moment you're using it. After that, it's done. Its value's gone. But those arrangements don't get you anywhere, but more pain and suffering. Wondering why that didn't make you happy. That didn't fill that empty void within you like you thought it would. Why doesn't this relationship make me happy, make me joyful inside? Because it's not the person out there that's supposed to make you happy and joyful, folks. That's entirely up to you, how you choose to be and perceive. How you choose to see the world and see yourself. I'll repeat it again like I did yesterday and the day before and the day before that. When I can accept and love myself, someone else can love and accept me. It's only when you can accept and love yourself unconditionally that those outside of you can begin to love and accept you unconditionally. Because until then, folks, you project out what you believe yourself to be. And that is all your brothers in the world shall perceive of you. And this is what it's talking about. He does not realize that he makes the world, for there is no world outside of him. Everything that you are projecting out is what the world perceives and is what you perceive of you. If you can't love yourself and believe in yourself unconditionally, who else is going to? The only one that has faith, trust, and belief in you unconditionally, wholeheartedly, without any strings attached, is God and Holy Spirit and possibly Jesus. I can't speak for him unequivocally. But I've seen so far from Holy Spirit and God, unimaginable love, unconditional. Please continue.
7. If only the loving thoughts of God's Son are the world's reality, the real world must be in his mind. His insane thoughts, too, must be in his mind. But an internal conflict of this magnitude he cannot tolerate. A split mind is endangered, and the recognition that it encompasses completely opposed thoughts within itself is intolerable. Therefore, the mind projects the split, not the reality. Everything you perceive as the outside world is merely your attempt to maintain your ego identification. For everyone believes that identification is salvation. Yet consider what has happened, for thoughts do have consequences to the thinker. You have become at odds with the world as you perceive it because you think it is antagonistic to you. This is a necessary consequence of what you have done. You have projected outward what is antagonistic to what is inward, and therefore you would have to perceive it this way. That is why you must realize that your hatred is in your mind and not outside it, before you can get rid of it, and why you must get rid of it before you can perceive the world as it really is.
Absolutely. See, your belief in those judgments that were handed to you, that this is what you should think, do, say, and believe, many of those beliefs that were handed to you, those judgments, were based out of fear. And that fear bore a hatred, an anger to it. And everything that you are thinking and believing to be true, folks, is what you are projecting out in front of you. And if all you are believing in is hatred and vitriol, bigotry and lying, cheating, stealing, that those are the way to go, then that's what you're going to project out there on the world, that's your belief. So you're going to see everyone is trying to get one over on you. Like someone having some kind of, con going on. And when they hear a true story, they laugh at it because they don't think it's true. They don't want to believe that something like that can be true. Because they've used stories like that themselves, knowing they weren't true. Those thoughts, those beliefs, they manifest the pain and suffering that you experience in your everyday life. Your choices to think, say, and do and believe are what causes the consequences that you experience within your life. And you're not going to be able to get rid of those types of consequences and those experiences until you choose to willingly look at them and see them for what they are. And take responsibility for your choices to believe as you do, and accept that that is your rage that you are experiencing there before you can let it go. You have to see it as it is, folks. Be willing to look within and see it. As I was telling Alex earlier today, the whole purpose of this pain and suffering that he's experiencing is so it's a catalyst. It's a catalyst for him to begin looking within at these things and not just waiting, wondering what the next step is for the next thing to come up while he's dealing with this pain and suffering within him. What I learned was to start seeking out the experiences I've had in my life. When I have a thought or a misperception come up and I recognize it for the misperception it is, I immediately start seeking where it came from, why it's there, and asking for the correction. What's the truth of this? How did it get there? Why did I choose to believe it? And what's the correction to it? I started actively seeking this stuff out because honestly, folks, I wanted my pain and suffering to end. The faster it ended, the faster I was going to be at peace and joy and happiness within me. And guess what? I still have things I'm having come up, but not like before. It's like I shared yesterday. Once you start choosing to actually look within you for these things with Holy Spirit, to start seeking them out within you, it snowballs. One into the next, to the next, to the next, because you are going to want that pain and suffering to end and end quickly. Once you recognize what everything is, even the slightest misperception starts to cause excruciating pain and suffering to where you're going to want to heal it as fast as possible. You will not wait until an hour later, a day later. You will want to get it done right that moment and look at it. All right, please continue.
8. I said before that God so loved the world that he gave it to his only begotten Son. God does love the real world, and those who perceive its reality cannot see the world of death. For death is not of the real world, in which everything reflects the eternal. God gave you the real world in exchange for the one you made out of your split mind, and which is the symbol of death. For if you could really separate yourself from the mind of God, you would die. The world you perceive is a world of separation. Perhaps you are willing to accept even death to deny your Father. Yet he would not have it so, and so it is not so. You still cannot will against him, and that is why you have no control over the world you made. It is not a world of will, because it is governed by the desire to be unlike God. And this desire is not will. The world you made is therefore totally chaotic, governed by arbitrary and senseless, quote, laws, and without meaning of any kind. For it is made out of what you do not want, projected from your mind because you are afraid of it. Yet this world is only in the mind of its maker, along with his real salvation. Do not believe it is outside of yourself, for only by recognizing where it is will you gain control over it. For you do have control over your mind, since the mind is the mechanism of decision.
Absolutely. Something that's being brought to my attention here, folks, is prohibition. The prohibitions you have been handed since the day you were born. That you can do this, but you cannot do that. You're allowed to say this, but you're not allowed to say that. You can wear this, but you're not allowed to wear that. You can think this, but you can not think that. All these different things, these prohibitions, are laws that have been put into place to control and manipulate you, to hand away your free will. And all of it, folks, is subconscious, and it's within your mind that it's being done. It's like those no smoking signs in the middle of a city zone. The only thing stopping someone from smoking in those moments is their own mind. No one else is holding them down and holding that cigarette away from their hand and telling them, no, you cannot smoke, you cannot smoke, you're not allowed, you're not allowed. That's not what happens. People arbitrarily, blindly follow and believe whatever prohibition is being placed before them, because they are being told by someone who says they have authority that that is what they are to do. They have chosen to hand away their free will to another, all unknowingly. And this is what that's talking about, folks. You are the one with control over your own mind, your choices to think and believe. No one is doing anything to you there. This is why you need to start looking at these things you've experienced in your choices to believe as you do. Look at these judgments you hold forth as being true, as defining you, this world, and everyone in it. All right. Are you ready?
Ready.
Please continue.
10. If you will recognize that all attack you perceive is in your own mind and nowhere else, you will at last have placed its source, and where it begins it must end. For in this same place also lies salvation. The altar of God where Christ abideth is there. You have defiled the altar, but not the world. Yet Christ has placed the atonement on the altar for you. Bring your perceptions of the world to this altar, for it is the altar to truth. There you will see your vision changed, and there you will learn to see truly. From this place, where God and His sons dwell in peace, and where you are welcome, you will look out in peace and behold the world truly. Yet to find the place you must relinquish your investment in the world as you project it, allowing the Holy Spirit to extend the real world to you from the altar of God.
Absolutely. So, It's pointing out to you folks that anytime you are feeling attacked, offended, treated unfairly, any of these things, they are all within your own mind. It is your own choice and belief that you are judging yourself to be in those moments. You judge yourself in those moments as you are judging your brothers to be treating you that way, pointing fingers, placing blame, seeing yourself as the victim. You cannot continue to see yourself as the victim here, folks. Recognize your own choices to believe, to accept whatever's being said to you. Nobody's doing that to you but you. And the only way that you can choose or change to God's vision, Holy Spirit and God's vision, is to let go of all the crap you have been choosing to think and believe in. To let go of everything that you have been taught since you were born. Accept the truth that they lay before you. See the truth. Ask to see through their eyes and to hear with their ears, so you can truly understand what it is you do. Because until then, folks, you're going to keep repeating these patterns over and over and over again until you do choose to ask for that correction, to see it with his eyes and hear it with his ears, and ask for the correction. Until then, welcome to hell, honey. Pain and misery is the forte. Expect it. Because that's all you will ever get there. All right, folks, that was Chapter 12, the Holy Spirit's Curriculum, Section 3, the Investment in Reality. Let's move on to the lesson of the day. Alex?
Lesson 124, Let me remember I am one with God. Today we will again give thanks for our identity in God. Our home is safe, protection guaranteed in all we do, power and strength available to us in all our undertakings. We can fail in nothing. Everything we touch takes on a shining light that blesses and that heals. At one with God and with the universe, we go our way rejoicing, with the thought that God Himself goes everywhere with us. How holy are our minds, and everything we see reflects the holiness within the mind at one with God and with Himself. How easily do errors disappear and death give place to everlasting life. Our shining footprints point the way to truth, for God is our companion as we walk the world a little while. And those who come to follow us will recognize the way, because the light we carry stays behind, yet still remains with us as we walk on.
What that gives me an impression of, folks, that last line there, is how as I have gone along this journey and I've shared the understandings I've been given, even though I am where I'm at now in my life and on my journey, where I have been still plays an active role within it. And that is what I'm getting an impression of, is that light that stays behind, it is that dawning light that particular thing has been healed. That is not something that's going to be repeated. And as I shine that light for others in their own situations for them, even though I've already, dealt with that and I'm in the here and now, it's that light, that lantern of light that shines on the circumstances that they're dealing with. that allows them to see it differently. That's the impression I'm being given. It's giving them a different way to see whatever they're going through or have been through. So when I talk about the rapes, molestations, beatings, it's because those things were key to me understanding who I am. That those kinds of things helped me unlock the understanding of the judgments I was accepting about myself. And it was those types of things that helped open my eyes to the truth. And when I share those experiences and how they shaped my mind and controlled the way I acted and reacted, and how I was able to let go that belief in that thing for the truth, that none of it was true, I'm allowing and providing my brothers an opportunity to change their minds like I did. And it's this that they're talking about that has the shining footprints that point the way to truth. It's not that we're telling somebody they're wrong or they're doing wrong in those moments, but we simply show them there's a different way to look at it. And we give thanks to God for this ability. You know, as I said yesterday, I give thanks to God for all of my trials and tribulations, because I recognize if I'm having trials and tribulations, they're opening up a door for a new journey for me, for a new aspect of learning who I am. It's uncovering another truth within me. So I'm thankful and in gratitude to Father for it. It even gives me joy in my heart to know that I am still learning things. Because I tell you, if I had nothing more to learn, I probably wouldn't be here. I would check out already. Please continue.
What we receive is our eternal gift to those who follow after, and to those who went before or stayed with us a while. And God, who loves us with the equal love in which we were created, smiles on us and offers us the happiness we gave. Today we will not doubt His love for us, nor question His protection and His care. No meaningless anxieties can come between our faith and our awareness of His presence. We are one with Him today in recognition and remembrance. We feel Him in our hearts. Our minds contain His thoughts. Our eyes behold His loveliness in all we look upon. Today we see only the loving and the lovable. We see it in appearances of pain, and pain gives way to peace. We see it in the frantic, in the sad and the distressed, the lonely and afraid, who are restored to the tranquility and peace of mind in which they were created. And we see it in the dying and the dead as well, restoring them to life. All this we see because we saw it first within ourselves.
Absolutely. You know, folks, what this is pointing at is that it's not until you can see this stuff within yourself that you're able to actually see it within your brother. Recognize it for the call of love it is. When you recognize the calls of love that you gave out there to your brothers that they did not respond to, and then the ones that did respond to that call of love with what you were truly needing in those moments, those things stay with you, and you recognize them for what they were. And when you are out there in the world and you see your brothers in those different states of being, you recognize and you can empathize with them in those moments because you've been there yourself. And it's in those moments when you can see that you're being asked to extend a kind word, to extend love and compassion to them, to hear them, to see them as they are, to remind them of who they are. And that if they are not happy with where they're at, they can choose again and choose differently. Please continue, dear.
No miracle can ever be denied to those who know that they are one with God. No thought of theirs has the power to heal all forms of suffering in anyone, in times gone by and times yet to come, as easily in the ones who walk beside them now. Their thoughts are timeless and apart from distance as apart from time. We join in this awareness as we say that we are one with God. For in these words, we say as well that we are saved and healed, and that we can save and heal accordingly. We have accepted and we now would give, for we would keep the gifts our Father gave. Today we would experience ourselves at one with Him, so that the world may share our recognition of reality. In our experience, the world is freed. As we deny our separation from our Father, it is healed along with us. Peace be to you today. Secure your peace by practicing awareness. You are one with your Creator, as He is with you. Sometime today, whenever it seems best, devote a half hour to the thought that you are one with God. This is our first attempt at an extended period for which we give no rules nor special words to guide your meditation. We will trust God's voice to speak as He sees fit today, certain He will not fail. Abide with Him this half an hour. He will do the rest.
Okay. So they're asking you to set aside all your judgments, all your beliefs, and join within you with Holy Spirit and God. And to abide with them for the hour. And to recognize that as long as you hold forth any judgments, you are holding them at arm's length and denying them to be there with you. You're closing a door on them when you judge. And so what is being asked of you here is to set all your beliefs and judgments aside and to ask them for theirs. Ask them for their thoughts of what everything is and is for. And why you chose to believe as you did. To have them show you why that came about the way it did. And as you join in your awareness with God, you will be healed. As you willingly join with Him, you will be healed. So they're asking you, as you do these practice periods, and take this in, they're not going to set up any specific times. They're trusting you, since you have been doing these and following the instructions, that you will take it in and choose to do what feels right to you. Whether it be 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour.
I think he's asking for a half an hour.
I know. The choice is yours.
What's the choice is when to do the practices.
Yeah. You're being asked to sit down and do them with Him. To spend that time with God and Holy Spirit. To see and to hear with their eyes and their ears to understand everything you've experienced. Spend that time with them. It's a half hour. You get to choose when. Please continue.
Your benefit will not be less if you believe that nothing happens. You may not be ready to accept the gain today, yet sometime, somewhere, it will come to you, nor will you fail to recognize it when it dawns with certainty upon your mind. This half an hour will be framed in gold, with every minute like a diamond set around the mirror that this exercise will offer you, and you will see Christ's face upon it in reflection of your own.
Now, it's interesting that it says it like that. Yet sometime, somewhere, it will come to you, nor will you fail to recognize it when it dawns with certainty upon your mind. What was I speaking about, folks? That it matters not if you are ready to accept something in the moment. That when it does come to you, when you are ready to hear it, that reality of what it was saying will dawn within your mind. It's like, it does not matter. When you are sharing something with your brother, it matters not if they are choosing to accept it in that moment. All that mattered is that you choose to stand in your light of truth and share it with them. And be willing to hear what is true for them. That's all that's being asked of you. To listen to hear where your brother is at and what they are choosing for themselves. And to share where you are at and what you are choosing for yourself. To accept and allow. And it matters not if you get it right here, right now, today, whatever gets laid before you, or if they get it. Recognize that when you are ready or they are ready, it will come to you. It will dawn on you with crystal clarity. Please continue, dear.
Perhaps today, perhaps tomorrow, you will see your own transfiguration in the glass this holy half an hour will hold out to you to look upon yourself. When you are ready, you will find it there within your mind and waiting to be found. You will remember then the thought to which you gave this half an hour, thankfully aware no time was ever better spent. Perhaps today, perhaps tomorrow, you will look into this glass and understand the sinless light you see belongs to you. The loveliness you look on is your own. Count this half hour as your gift to God, in certainty that His return will be a sense of love you cannot understand, a joy too deep for you to comprehend, a sight too holy for the body's eyes to see. And yet you can be sure someday, perhaps today, perhaps tomorrow, you will understand and comprehend and see. Add further jewels to the golden frame that holds the mirror offered you today by hourly repeating to yourself, "Let me remember I am one with God, at one with all my brothers and myself in everlasting holiness and peace."
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. So what that's speaking of, folks, when it keeps talking about look in the glass, it's talking about looking in that mirror. Remember when I was talking about the projector and how you have a drawing that you place on a projector? And let's say it's a topographical map, right? And you see the valleys, the hills, the mountains, all these things. Then you overlay on top of this map that's on the projector all the roadways all over the place. Just the normal city streets in country roads, things like that. Then you overlay on that the highways, then the trainways, then the airplane patterns. And pretty soon that map that's underneath is no longer clear. It's befuddled with everything else that's overlaying it. The true features of the map are lost with everything else that's been overlaid on top of it. City landscapes, you name it. And in that same way, you are looking at yourself. As I said before, when you are looking at the projection of yourself in the mirror, that image you see, when you first come into this world, you see yourself clearly. When you start accepting judgments and opinions as defining you, or making your own judgments and opinions, you lay them over top of you so that you're no longer seeing yourself clearly. It's as if you take a picture of yourself and lay that on the projector. Then you take these opinions that people are handing you, and every one that you accept as being true, you lay that over top of you, that image that they have just described to you. And so now, instead of that beautiful, godly creature that God made, you now see this hideous monster, because you are only seeing the judgments you have taken in and accepted as being true, as defining you. And that's the whole thing that it's talking about there, folks. Recognize that image. Bring yourself back into the image of the one God created, the true image of you. Let go those judgments and beliefs you are holding forth as defining who you are and are supposed to be. Try standing in your light of truth. That is what they're asking you to do, to stand in your light of truth, to let you see yourself as God sees you, the perfection of who you are. All right, everyone. That was lesson 124. Let me remember, I am one with God. And we have the correlating chapter text of chapter 12, the Holy Spirit's curriculum, section 3, the investment in reality. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us. Hugs, love, light, and blessings on your journey, my brothers. You are loved. We love you. In everything, you're the one making these choices and decisions here. You're the only one that can look within you at these things you've chosen to think and believe about you, at all these labels you are using to define yourself. Please do this work. Please begin choosing to willingly seek within you the truth. Look at these experiences you've held and had, because these are the things that you believe define you. Look at the judgments, the thoughts, the opinions. Connect the dots to your emotions, your thoughts, and your body's physical responses. See how everything is interconnected and correlates one to the other. Blessing on your journey, bright brothers. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Sabrina Reyenga.
And my name is Alex Reyenga.
Hugs, love, light, and blessings on your journey. You are loved. We love you. Please be the light you are meant to be. Please be the light we know you to be. Please be the light we see you to be. Please choose to be the light. Blessings to all of you. Have a glorious day. You are loved. We love you.